Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dominic Peterson, aka Ducks on 503, talking all things Oregon football. If you're not following, if you're not subscribed, make sure to smash those buttons below to join the Ducks on family, where we're always talking Oregon football. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video, share the video with your friends. As always, go Ducks at Ducks on 503. Simple search, okay? The name's right there at Ducks on 503 to get the quickest football Oregon updates from me. Okay, I'm always quick on all things recruiting, breaking news, get it straight from the source. Really appreciate you guys. Check out the foam finger, guys. What do you know? Go Ducks. Found this actually. Funny story. Walking out of Autzen Stadium after the Washington game, we took a loss, and some Oregon fan probably seen that we lost and didn't want this anymore because I'm usually, I kind of wait for the crowd to clear out a little bit and make my way out. But anyways, yeah, I was looking around and this was on the floor and nobody was around. Finders keepers, man. This was dope. So, guys, all right, we're here. It's rivalry week again. Here we go. We got little brother. I like to call this, I always like to call them little brother for this matchup. For this game, okay, on this podcast, I know this is a controversial topic for everybody. On this podcast, we're going to call this game the Civil War. Okay, Civil War, you know what it is, guys. That's what I've always called it. It's what it's been for generations and generations. So I'm calling it the Civil War as well, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's go, guys. It's Turkey Day. I really appreciate you guys checking in here on Turkey Day. Grab your turkey, grab your stuff, and grab all your Thanksgiving goodies. And let's get this preview going, guys. Okay. If you guys don't like the term Civil War, I get it. There's some people out there. I'll give you my opinion and my case and my take on that whole thing at the end of the video, because today we're here to talk about the number 9 Oregon Ducks going into Reser Stadium, enemy territory, into what I like to call Little Brother Stadium. Number 21 Oregon State, our little brother, is actually ranked in the top 25. So congrats to them. Oregon's 9-2 on the season. The Oregon Ducks coming in 9-2 on the season, 7-1 in conference play. If they win this game, they're in the Pac-12 championship. Book your ticket to Las Vegas. Okay, Oregon State, the Beavers, congratulations, little brother, coming in at 8-3, 5-3 in conference play. First 8-win season since 2012. So big accomplishments for them that they're looking for to go up to 9 wins. Reser Stadium. It's going to be half capacity. As you know, the tickets are really hard to come by. So if you got a ticket to this game, man, congrats. Tickets are at a premium for this game because of that reason. They're doing renovations to the stadium, if you didn't know. Yeah, so it's not going to be a packed, whole 100% sold out stadium, but it is still ruckus crowd on one half of the stadium. I think they got artificial noise on the other half to try to even it out a little bit. 12:30 kickoff time. So I'm glad I'm not going to the game, to be honest with you. I hate 12:30 kickoff times. I love night games. Oregon, 3.5-point favorite. So this is considering the experts going to be a pretty close game here. ESPN, according to ESPN, they give Oregon a 57.5% chance to win this game. So I've seen Oregon, I think against Washington, they had like a 70-something% chance to win. So this game is a real toss-up. They expect Oregon State to play real well at home, and they have. I mean, they lost to USC at home pretty close. We'll get in their schedule here in a bit. There's always been a fun rivalry. I always like to call Oregon State our little brother. It's fun. It's a fun thing to poke the stick at them. I think with Washington a little different with the Huskies. Kind of a hated rivalry, kind of a heated rivalry. I mean, we really don't like each other as fans on both sides of the ball. But with Oregon State, it's a little different. It is a heated rivalry. Of course, you guys want to beat each other. But at least for me as a fan, I root for Oregon State. Okay. I mean, I'm not a fan of Oregon State, of course, but I do root for them when we're not playing them. I do want them to be good. I do like when they're good. I like when it's a top 25 matchup between the two schools. So it's great. And on top of that, when I was in school, like high school, middle school, stuff like that, it's always fun to, see your friends and your classmates and your teachers have their Oregon or Oregon State gear on and know who they're rooting for. And, going into Thanksgiving weekend, you see your family and you get around the TV and you watch this game, and it's a real dope experience every year to really go into the Civil War and love everything about this matchup. And this year in specific, it's a really huge matchup. for both sides. For one, just overall, it's a rivalry. Okay, who's going to own the state? Who's going to get those bragging rights? Oregon lost to Washington, so it's going to be a big one for Oregon if they really want to win. Back in like the 80s and the 70s, a good season was if you beat Washington, you beat Oregon State. Okay, it doesn't matter if you lose the rest of your games. If you win, if you beat your rivals, that's a good season in their books back in the day. The classic Duck fans know what I'm talking about. So this is a big one. This is a big one. You got to win this one. Oregon wins, like I said, punch your ticket to Las Vegas, Pac-12 title game against USC if they win, which is a big if. And then for Oregon State, okay, they have 8 wins for the first time since 2012, looking to get to 9 wins. So it's going to be a big game for them. And how fun would it be to knock off the Ducks out of a possible conference championship, right? So, tickets were sold at a premium half stadium. So congrats to you if you guys are going. That's going to be a big time game. Oregon State's last game, the Beavers, they went to Arizona State. They won that game 31-7. So nice solid win for them on the road in the desert. Oregon last game, as you know, against top 10 Utah. This was a big time game. Oregon needed revenge here. And they got a close defensive battle win, 20-17 at home against Utah. All time in this series, and this game has been played a lot over generations of time. Civil War, baby. Oregon leads the series, 67 wins, 48 losses, and 10 ties. There's actually been 10 ties in this matchup, which is pretty impressive. You can't tie anymore. Somebody's got to be the winner. But, man, 67 wins and 48 losses, so about a 19-game lead in this series for Oregon. That's really why I call Oregon State our little brother. Until you guys can dominate us or make the series a little bit close, you guys are just our little brother for now. It's the way I see it. All right, interesting stat here, though. Okay, so looking back on this series, since the turn of the century, since 2000, the year 2000, Oregon is actually 5-6 in Research Stadium. They have a losing record at playing at Oregon State. Last matchup in Research in 2020, Oregon State won that game 41-38. People remember, okay, that was the year where there's no fans in the stands. It was the COVID year. This year you add the fact that there's fans in the stadium, a top 25 matchup. Oregon State does not host a lot of top 25 matchups, so this is going to be big for them. And this is going to be a tough one for Oregon. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a grind. It's cold out. A lot of guys on the team for Oregon are from California. Not to say Oregon State has a lot of guys from in-state, but, man, it's going to be a battle, okay? Remember, though, the stadium is half full, so that could be an advantage playing out for Oregon. Oregon State certainly, certainly does not have the level of athlete that Oregon has, okay? When we're talking about recruiting here, a lot of what Oregon State has done has been through the nowadays transfer portal. That's how they've gotten their program to really rise quite quickly with Jonathan Smith at the helm. Oregon has had, very elite recruiting classes over the last couple of years. So it's really not the same level of athlete. But what Oregon State does really well is their coaches are really elite, and their system really works for their players that they get, and they know what kind of players they get. I honestly think that the Oregon State head coach, Jonathan Smith, is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Okay, I think the Beavers as a program, as a football program, are tremendously underlooked nationally. Because, I think they've been down for a little bit the last couple of years, but this year they are something to talk about, okay? And they're getting recognition at being number 21 in the new college football playoff rankings here, which is big time for them. Jonathan Smith took this program in, and ever since, it's just been trajectory up, okay? It's been a steadily nice growth for that program. I think Jonathan Smith is probably the best QB coach in the conference and one of the best at developing quarterbacks in the conference. I think he has one of the best offensive minds in the conference. And, I think he has his team playing defense this year. And that's why they have 8 wins, because you match that offensive mind with a team that can play defense, you got a complete team. And, with 8 wins, this is something that's not been done for the Beavers in a decade. So congrats to those guys. All right, let's preview Oregon State's record here. Oregon State comes in at 8-3, 5-3 in conference play. They got a win against Boise State to start the season, 34-17. Win 35-32. Close one on the road at Fresno State. That was big time. win 68-28 against Montana State, took care of business. This is when things got tough, okay? They played number 7 USC at home. I remember watching this, okay? 17-14 loss. They held USC to 17 points. Beavers just couldn't move it. They just couldn't get it in the end zone at the end. But yeah, close loss to USC there. Now, this is a tough one from I think they went to Utah, number 12 Utah at the time, and lost that game 42-16. That was a bad loss for them. Wasn't really competitive in that one. Won 28-27 against Stanford. That was a real head scratcher. You kind of expect the Oregon State Beavers to dominate the Stanford Cardinal there. But it was a close win. Oregon State got that win in the last seconds of that game, by the way. Then they win 24-10 against Washington State. Pretty impressive win there, holding the Washington State Cougars only 10 points. Win 42-9 against Colorado. What was expected there. Nice to see them handle business. Against their at Washington, the Huskies lost 24-21 there. Close loss. Okay, just like how they beat the Ducks. The Huskies beat the Ducks by a field goal. Same thing with the Beavers here. Cal 38-10 win there. Handle business against Cal, and then like I said earlier, they go to Arizona State and they take care of business there, 31-7. Key players for the Beavers on offense, they're led by their rushing attack. Okay, the Beavers really like to run the ball with their running back Damian Martinez, who has 143 carries, 867 yards, 7 touchdowns, and averages 6.1 yards per carry. So really good running back there. If you want to kind of compare running back, not in running styles, but in statistical numbers, Bucky Irving and Damian Martinez are pretty similar. Martinez has a few more carries and about 10 more yards than Bucky. And but these guys are pretty comparable, and we've seen what Bucky Irving can do. So if you want to just make a comparison to statistical wise, that's something to look at there, and just to know how good Damian Martinez is, what we're going to see on Saturday. Both running backs are about 150 yards away from a 1,000 yard season. So congrats to them and Bucky as well. So and we got QB Ben how do you say Goldbranson? I think it's Goldbranson. Quarterback Goldbranson for them who's been playing pretty well since week 4. I think he started at Utah. Had a rough outing at Utah. Of course, Utah's defense is really good. And when that's your first kind of start coming in, that's got to be a tough game. But ever since then, he's played very well for him, very well. Has about 1,230 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Does Goldbranson on the season? Chance Nolan started the first 4 weeks until there was a change made, and Goldbranson became the quarterback and took over. Wide receiver Trayshawn Harrison is a weapon to watch out for the Beavers. Real nice weapon for them with 50 catches, 589 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The Oregon State defense is very good. Statistically, they're holding their opponents to 19.5 points per game. That's good for number 15 in college football. Their opponent red zone scoring. Their opponents only score in the red zone 64.5% of the time. That is number 2 in college football. So that is a big key in this game for Oregon, okay? We'll get into my keys in a second. As you know, I always give my 3 keys of the game. But whether or not I speak about this in the 3 keys or not, you got to watch out for this, okay? Red zone defense for the Beavers, very good. Number 2 in the nation, okay? Right there, almost number 1. Very important that Oregon gets in the end zone, in the red zone, okay? If they're kicking field goals, they got to get in the end zone, okay? Opponent rush yards per game. They're holding their opponent rush yards to 106 yards per game. That's good for number 9 in all of college football. So big defensive numbers coming right there for Oregon State's defense. They're playing defense. They're flying around this year, okay? So my 3 keys to the game against Oregon State here. Let's get into it. So number 1, I guess, or I'll say number 0.5 of a key is the red zone scoring. Let's add that in there for the 3 keys. Then number 1, okay, I got Bucky Irving. Let's rush for over 100 yards, okay? Bo Nix, as you know, Bo Nix is not going to be 100% going into this game, which means the run game is going to have to come into play. Okay, Oregon State is a very good team at stopping the run here. and this is going to be a thing to watch. Okay, so Bucky Irving can rush over 100 yards. I like Oregon's chances. Number 2, I got control your emotions. Okay, in a big time rivalry, it's easy to let your emotions get the best of you and not really be focused at the task at hand. And you can get penalties in this game because of that. So let's make sure we play a clean game, especially on the road, where the fans can be chirping at you the whole time. Control your emotions. Number 3, I want to get pressure on the quarterback. Okay, let's get 3+ sacks. Okay, this defensive front for Oregon is really coming alive. Okay, they played really well last game, getting tip passes, getting some pressure. Let's continue that and try to get 3+ sacks a game. I think if you get pressure on Cole Branson, I think he's bound to make a mistake or two. So those are my 3 keys of the game. I got, of course, red zone scoring. You got to score in the red zone. The number 1, Bucky Irving over 100 yards. Number 2, control your emotions. And number 3, get pressure on the quarterback, about 3+ sacks in this game. Let's do it. Okay, prediction time. What do I think is going to happen in this game? Let's talk about it. So it's a top 25 matchup, rivalry game. It does not get better than this. It's the Civil War, guys. Let's go Ducks. Here we go. Both teams have not played, both teams have a lot on the line. Okay, a lot on the line. Both teams. Okay, Oregon State wants to get to 9 wins and knock off their rival, kind of like the Huskies did for the Ducks and their playoff chances. How fun would it be for Oregon State to knock off the Ducks' chances to get even a conference title, right? It could be possible. Okay, the Ducks could still play in a conference title if they lose. It's still possible, but their chances are locked in if they win. So, man, both teams with a lot on the line here. Oregon State is playing very, very well right now. Okay, to go into the desert in November, it's always a scary thing coming from the Northwest. Well, Oregon State played very well. Oregon, is playing well as well. Okay, even with a hurt quarterback, they just beat a top 10 team in Utah. Okay, Nix is not 100%. Multiple O linemen have been out. They're still questionable for this game, by the way. And, this game is going to be a really, really good one to watch. The experts have Oregon favored by 3 in this one. I think it's for a reason. It's because it's going to be an absolute battle in this game. This is what I think is going to happen, guys. Oregon State, I think, is going to come out with a whole bunch of energy. Okay, it's going to be fired up, top 25 matchup. They're at home for this one. I think Beavers are going to be up at the half. I think Beavers are going to come out with a lot of momentum swinging. I think they'll be up at the half at this one. Okay, I think the Beavers are going to give the Ducks their all. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, little brother. Sometimes we got to teach you guys a lesson. Oregon proved to me they could still beat a good team, even when Bo Nix is not 100%. Okay? They beat a top 10 team in Utah who beat the crap out of them. Let me remind you, they beat the crap out of the Ducks twice last year, and Oregon just got the best of them. Okay? Oregon has one of the best offensive lines in the country, which really helped in that last matchup. I know their O-line is banged up, okay? I know Oregon struggled to run the ball last week. They only had 56 rush yards last week. But I think Kenny Dillingham and staff are going to watch that tape and shore some things up. I think Oregon's going to be able to run the ball effectively, especially in the second half when that defense gets a little tired up front and that offensive line keeps pounding away. And I think that also will allow things to open up more for Oregon offensively in the pass game, which Oregon can really kill you when that pass game gets going for them. I think Oregon will escape barely by the thin skin. I think they'll escape with a win out of Research Stadium for a final score prediction. I got Oregon winning this one 32, Oregon State 29. Field goal. I got it by a field goal, guys. I think Oregon State's going to come out swinging, okay? I think Oregon State might lead at the half. Beaver fans might be chirping. And then Oregon is going to grind this game away. They're going to grind it out. I think they're going to escape with a win 32-29. I think this game has a making of an instant classic for this rivalry, okay? I think it does. Top 25 matchup, first one in a while between these two teams. Both teams have a lot to play for, but I got Oregon grinding this one out 32, Oregon State 29. So that's my preview and prediction there. For anybody sticking around here, that I told why I'm going to explain my case, why I call it the Civil War, just give my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. I respect it. If you don't want to call it the Civil War, Hey, I'm a believer in freedom of speech. Call it whatever you want. Just don't tell me what I can call it. Okay, that's my only thing. Okay, here's my opinion, guys. To me, this is silly. Okay, people, they advocate, they want to change the name of the rivalry. You know, I don't, I don't think they really understand what the term means, especially in the case of this football rivalry. Okay, the term Civil War in this case, and a football rivalry especially, just means a war or a conflict between people of the same state or nation, etc., whatever you want to call it, right? There's been civil wars in hundreds of other countries. Okay, it's not like the United States is the only one that had a civil war. Okay, the term civil war, as is intended in a football rivalry, in this case, just means a battle between two teams inside the same state. Okay, it's not derogatory. It's not nothing racist, whatever you want to call it. That's not what people in this football rivalry mean when they say, hey, we're going to go watch the Civil War. Okay, it just means they're making the term two football teams in the same state. I think some people, that are upset when people say the Civil War, that get upset and are punching the air right now. I think they just need to pick up a history book for a couple hours, because if you actually look at it, the Civil War was actually a war to free slaves. So it's actually a good thing if you want to take it in an actual history route of way. But if you want to just look at it as what it is, which is a simple football matchup, and the term Civil War is just two teams in the same state battling it out on a football field, and that's what we mean by it, then why on earth are you trying to change the name? Okay, I just don't. I think it's really silly, especially when the name's been the Civil War for generations of over 100 years. And that's why I'll continue to call it the Civil War. And I'll continue to not pressure anybody to call it the Civil War if they don't want to. You call it what you want. I'll call it what I want. And let's not bicker about it. Thank you. And I think it's a little silly. Anyways, that was my take. Appreciate you guys for checking in for real on this preview prediction episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, okay, if you guys haven't already, okay? If Oregon gets in the Pac-12 championship, as you know, we'll do a recap and analysis episode of this game on the Civil War on Tuesday. I'll take you on the recap. I'll do my analysis on it. Then Thursday, we're going to have our preview and prediction episode if Oregon is going to be playing in that Pac-12 championship, which I think they have a very, very good shot at doing. So hopefully I'll be seeing you guys on Thursday to talk about that Vegas trip, that Pac-12 championship game. So let's do it, guys. As always, you know what it is. Let's get the foam finger over here. Let's do it. Come on. Let's do it here. Appreciate you guys. As always, go Ducks. You guys know what it is, man. Appreciate you guys for real, man. Go Ducks.